Hello everybody. Today I want to show you how to make some graph in Python. So basically, actually, before starting Python, I'm showing you a Excel file. And you see that, I have, it's called my house in Excel.xlsx. And, I have put some data here, data for the variable X and data for the variable Y. And, I would like to make the plot, the graph of this line, okay? And well, I already start from zero, okay? If you were willing to do that by hand, what you would do is basically you draw a x-axis and a y-axis by hand, or if I were the prof, on the blackboard. And I put 0 here and then +5, +10, -5, -10. For the y-axis, I put 0, 5, 10, -5, -10. And then, I look at that, okay, this is the first coordinate, okay, that's what goes on the x-axis, -10. And this is what goes on the y-axis, -10. Okay, so I have my first coordinate, -10, -10. Okay, and then by hand you would do well. Let's go to the second coordinates. Okay, on the x-axis I want 10, and on the y-axis I want -10. Okay, so it gives me a second point, a second dot. And then I can get my third dot, 10, 2, that would be this one, and then I can continue, okay? And then if you want to do that in Excel, instead of by hand, you would most likely, most people would do something like that. They would highlight those two columns, and then you would insert a graph, okay? And for this type of graph, you should insert a scatter plot, okay? This thing here. So it's called scatter, and like if you do that, you are going to have the dots. But if you do that, you are going to have the markers, if you want, the dots, including the line in between. Okay, so you get a nice little house, and then you can, and I will let you. That's what I have done here, and then you can add some elements, and I will let you add whatever you want or change the color of the markers and things like that. My objective today is not to show you how to do that in Excel, it's how to do that, the same graph in Python. By the way, see, most people I know, most people have no clue about how to use Excel properly. And most people would do things like that. They would highlight this and then they would go to insert and then they would choose line because it looks like it should be a line. But when you do that, you get something like that, which is clearly not what you have drawn by hand, nor what we have made with Excel. Okay, like usually when you want, if you use this thing here, it's because you have this kind of data, like if you have categorical data. So instead of being numerical values for the x-axis, you have category for the x-axis. Then you would be able to do that, like insert line, and then you get like A, B, C, D, and then whatever is here. So when X is equal to A, Y is equal to 2, and things like that, okay? Or it works as well when you have a time series, like, this is January, February, up to December, insert chart, and then it works, okay? But for most of other cases, when you have things like that, X, which is numerical values, and Y, numerical values, what you put on the Y-axis, the way to go is really like to highlight everything here, and then you say insert scatter. And then if you just want to have the marker on the coordinates, you choose this. But if you want to have the line which connect the markers, you would choose that. Okay, and if you choose that, okay, it connects the marker, but it makes rounded line. Okay, which is not what I wanted to show you. Okay, so now it's time to move from Excel to Python. After all, don't remember, even if in this course, in the first course, RP 6322, I think. This is, I mean, you are going to do Excel and Python, but I'm pretty sure that what you will learn from this course is actually Python, not Excel. So let me go to my browser. And like I have already opened oh, it's here. Okay, I have already opened my notebook that I will give you. The notebook is called Python Intro for Children, matplotlib and pandas, which are two libraries that we are going to study. And basically, maybe just to remind you from the previous tutorial, when you open your browser, okay, well, I already have an icon here because I have used Google Collaboratory before. But when I click on that, I can always upload a notebook. Okay, so when you save your notebooks, the notebook that I give you on Brightspace, when you save the notebook, it will most likely be in your download folder of your computer. So and then you can always, and look here, the website is collab.research.google.com. So you first visit that, and then if you have a Google account, you should have a page like that. It will be empty for you. It's not empty because I have worked with Python before and Google Colab before, and you just go here, upload, and then you browse up to within your computer. I put it in download, so this is the file. Okay, so I'm not gonna click it, but I mean you would click on that and then you would open it. I'm not gonna do it because it's already open on my computer, on my browser. So I can close this and come back to this file here. Okay, so once you are here, okay, basically my objective is to show you how to redo in Python what we have done in Excel. Okay, and I remind you that the values for X and Y were given here in Excel, this thing here. So X is minus 10, 10, 10, 0, minus 4. And you have to enter it on your keyboard here like that, minus 10, and 10. So you have to enter each of those values for X and for Y. And you would need to do it in Python as well. So here you would write it this way. So X is a series of numbers. And Y is a series of numbers. Actually, they are put into brackets, so that's Python language. It's actually called a list of numbers. I don't want to go to too much technical jargon for the time being, but okay, that's typically the way you would enter those numbers that you have seen in Excel, and you need to put the square bracket that you see here. And so let me simply run this thing here. Okay, so you will receive exactly the same notebook. So all what you need to do is basically to run each of those code cells. You can maybe I can still mention that is that when you start a notebook, whether it's the one that you are opening from me that I gave you, or when you start with an empty notebook, okay, you can always either introduce a code cell or a text cell. A text cell, it's when you want to say to write some text like welcome to all of you. Okay, that's what comes here. This is basically a text cell, okay? And see, it's text, okay? But I can also enter a code cell. A code cell is basically something like that, okay? So I could again retype is x is equal to, and then put all those numbers that I have put before, okay? So this is a code cell, okay? And so basically you can see you can either add the text cell or the code cell by clicking on that, or you can add a code cell or a text cell by, you do something like that, and you see eventually you get those pop-up image, okay, which tells you, well, do you want to add a code cell or do you want to add a text cell? Anyway, so I don't want to go too much into that, but so or if you want to erase, you can always go here and you delete the cell that you just created. And then I can, again, I still welcome you, but I can delete the cell that I just wrote. And when you want to run a cell, okay, once you have typed that, okay, what you need to do is basically to go here and to click on this. And see, now it says that the cell has been executed. So it means that now Python has understood that x, the variable x, is a series of potential of numbers going from -10 up to -10. Well, why does it goes from -10 up to -10? It's like the first coordinate is -10, 10. But if I want to close the drawing, I need to go back to -10, 10. That's why these values here that you see for x and y are the same. Again, if you are not very comfortable with all this, the best way is again to take a page of paper and to draw those coordinates by yourself, as I showed you before, okay? And you will understand what's happening. And I'm sure that you are more interested in getting to know a bit of uh, artificial intelligence than to learn about Excel or Python. So I still want to show you that actually whatever I'm going to do today with you using matplotlib, which is the library, the main library in Python to do some graphic like this or like that. I you can do all that with artificial intelligence within the notebook. Okay, so it's much more convenient than going to ChatGPT and ask the questions. Okay, so you can always prompt your questions on how to code something, how to make a graph. Okay, so basically what you would need to do is see here, you can always prompt your questions on a code cell by opening a new code cell and clicking on generate, then write your prompt. Okay, it's not well written, but the idea is that you can always open a new code cell and you will see a generate. And if you click on generate, then you can write some prompt here, okay? And I'm gonna close it because I have done it before, and I can erase that. See, I erase this because I did it before. So, by clicking on that, there is a new window which open and look what I have written. So that's the prompt that I wrote, okay? What is the code for plotting using matplotlib.pyplot? I will explain later. So that's the name of the library. The above list of numbers x on the x-axis and y on the y-axis. So by writing that prompt, and I think you just need to enter. So once you have written, you press return or enter, and then this is what artificial intelligence gave me. The prompt is written again, and then it says, well, you need to import something. And basically, I will explain that in a few seconds. But this is the solution that Google Colab gives me, and actually it does not use the large language models that you all know, which is Chat GPT, but it uses Gemini or Gemini, if you will. And it gives me a series of instructions and basically, if I run this, okay, that's what it gives me, okay? And you can see already that it gave me a title, it gave me some label for the x-axis and the y-axis, but it gave me a graph which is not the one that I was expecting, not the one that we have seen in Excel, okay? Why? Because, well, from one prompt to another one, artificial intelligence will always give some possible scenario. But yeah, you can see here, assuming that x and y are defined by a list of numbers, x equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, y is equal 2, 4, 1, 5, 3. Okay, so if you want to plot that graph, that's what the code line that you should write. Okay, and now we know that what we want is this. Okay, so I can copy this. So I highlight everything, and then on my keyboard, which is a Windows-based computer, I put Control C, and then I go here, and maybe I can, highlight this, and then Control V with my fingers, Control V, and then if I do that, see, I'm getting the plot that I wanted. So basically, what I want to do, even if, like before, doing artificial intelligence with Python, I think that we should know or we should learn a little bit each of those libraries like matplotlib, pandas, and things like that. But what I want to show you is that there is a lot of support. When you have problems, you can always ask questions to Gemini, and it will help you a lot. Okay, so it's as if you have the professor always with you. So so that was the solution by hand writing. This is the solution through artificial intelligence. And now let me go beyond that and let me show you a more traditional way to do things. Okay, so again, okay, so let me suppose that I'm restarting from zero, and you can always run time, restart session. When you say that and you say yes, it starts from zero all again, okay? So it's as if nothing had been done in that notebook. So, but I want to go beyond that section here, and I want to introduce you the main library in Python to make all kind of graph. And that library is called matplotlib. And basically, the first statement that you see here, and that was the one that was suggested to me by Gemini, is that we have to import a library. And the library is called matplotlib. And matplotlib is a very huge library, and there are different modules. And progressively, but not today or not in this tutorial, I will be a bit more explicit about what exactly all this means. Okay, for the time being, you can all just think about this statement here. As if you had a software on your computer. It might be Excel or it might be Microsoft, and you have an icon. And every time you want to work with Excel, you click on that icon. Well, that statement makes exactly the same thing. Okay, it's just to say to Python, well, there are millions of libraries that can be used with Python. But the library that I want to use today is a library which helps me to do graphs. Okay, and matplotlib is the library which helps me to do graph, and I'm gonna import that library. PyPlot, I will explain that later, or get a better understanding later about all that. And PLT is some kind of alias. So instead of always saying to Python, well, I need to work with matplotlib.pyplot, you simply write it as PLT. And so every time you now in the next cells you put PLT, it's an alias, it's a short name to say, well, I want to work with that. Okay. So, as we progress in the course, you are going to see it's always the same kind of import statement, and you will feel comfortable later on. So for the time being, just accept that this line here is a bit like pushing on a Windows shortcut that you have on your desktop, maybe, and you click on that, and then it gives you access to a program. So I'm gonna import this famous library. And then again, okay, remember I did a runtime restart session. So I need to provide again those values that I gave in Excel initially for X and for Y. I need to give them again here. And now let's draw the line, just like we did when we say insert scatter in Excel. Okay, let's try to draw a line, and you have to introduce a statement. PLT simply is the alias that you see here. It simply says to Python, well, I want to work with this thing here. Okay. And dot plot is simply a function which says, well, plot, make a graph linking the variable x and the variable y. Okay, and if I do that, I'm getting my graph. Okay, and now let's try to add new elements to it. Okay, I can add a title, and I can, let's say, draw it in red instead of blue, which is the standard color in Matplotlib. So if I want to add a title, all I need to add is this line here, okay, plot dot title. So PLT is again that famous alias. It says to Python, I now want to work with Matplotlib library. And dot title, well, it's evident. It's a function which tells Matplotlib, well, write the title. Okay, and the title here is my house, and because those are alphabet characters, it's a string in computer parlance. Okay, so you need to have a quote. You open the quote and you close the quote here. You put a comma, and then you say, well, in which color you want the title to appear. Okay, in blue, and you can specify a font size 20, like you would specify in either Excel or in Microsoft Word. You can specify a font weight, bold, and a font style, italic. Then if I run this, I'm getting the results. Be careful, okay? I run the file before, so that's why you see already the results, but I can clear everything, and then I can run those cells again, and it gives you the results, okay? And then I can give a title to the x and the y-axis. For example, if I want to have a label for the x-axis, a bit like in Excel, you would need to add some label here for the x-axis, okay? And you would go here, axis titles, and then you would add the titles. Well, you can do that with Python, but you need to write the code, okay? So here it will be, well, plot, well, I mean, use matplotlib, and then the X label is X-axis. I'm gonna write, I want this to be written along the X-axis as title, and for the Y label, I put y-axis. So if I run this thing, you are going to see that now I still have the title in blue because I have this line here. And I have now, before there was no indication here. Now I have a title, x-axis and y-axis. Okay, with some font size. If this is too big, you can reduce the font size. Say, well, 10 and 10. So it's smaller now. When I go back to 20. And you have to play around. Like you say, well, at some point in time you realize, okay, even if you are intimidated by cause because you are not used to it, okay, but at some point in time you realize that all this is quite easy. That if you don't like the blue and you want, let's say, magenta, well, let's see what it gives us. Magenta. See, pick another colors. And if you don't like the size, you want it to be bigger, you can put a bigger title if you want. Okay, so I'm gonna give you that notebook, but don't hesitate to change things. Okay, keep the original, keep it saved somewhere, and then start to play with the notebook, and try to modify it. It's by trying that you will succeed. So let me come back to what I had before. I think it was font 20. And it was in blue, I think, before, but it's not important, but in blue. And remember, every time you change the command here, you still need, this output will not change by magic, okay? If you want to have it blue, you have to click here with, I have a mouse, and I click with the left side of the mouse, okay? And well, you can also say, well, like in the same way as, in Excel, you can play with, you can do something format. I think it's format axis. And then, you can play with minimum and maximum. Well, in Excel, in Python, you can do exactly the same. You can control, this is the output, so I'm gonna clear it. But you can put a limit while x goes from let's say, let's put x going from -15 to +15, and y going from -15 to +15, like you would do in Excel. Like, when you go here, -15, and you would just put the numbers that you want here. But so here you can put the numbers that you want. Okay, and if I click on that, here is my hours, and now it's in between -15 and +15 in both the x and the y-axis. I can get rid of the arcs, if you are just interested with a nice little house. Maybe you are not interested with, all these things. And then you can simply say, well, I'm using matplotlib and the axis is off. Okay, so if you write this, again, if I clear the selected output, I have an output because I run the file just before class. Okay, but now if you add this, okay, you are going to get the hours without, the x and the y axis. Well, of course, you may want to have a bigger contour, like the line in a bigger font, okay? And so basically, you may add this argument, or pass this argument to the function plot. So you plot between x and y coordinate in red, and with a line width of 20. 20, I guess it's 20, 20 pixel. I'm not sure exactly of the units here, but if I click on that, this is what I'm getting. Okay, so it's much the width is larger than here. It's larger than here. So then, if you want a dash contour, you don't want to have a continuous contour, but just dash. You know that you can do that in Excel by playing. You can always go here and then format, I guess, format data series. And you could play with, the line, okay, solid line, and you can say, the dash type, okay, something like that. And you could do something like that, okay. Well, in matplotlib you can do as well, okay. All you need to do is, well, I want some dashes, and you put it in quote unquote, okay. And then if you want to have a color in blue, okay, you would put simply uh, color is equal to blue. Okay, again, we've quoted and quoted. Try by yourself. And you want to change the title, well, you put my blue house. Okay, if I run this, I'm gonna get the output that you see here. If you want to add some filling here, okay, let's say you want to add some filling in pink, you will realize that it's next to impossible to do it correctly in Excel, but in Python you can indeed add the filling. Okay, so if I clear the selected output and I let you run this thing here, you see that I have added this line here. PLT, so the alias. Let's import matplotlib pyplot module. And let's fill in between the coordinates X and Y, okay? And in which color? In color pink. If I run this, that's what I'm getting. If let's say that you want to add the marker here, okay? In Excel, it would be possible as well. Actually, it's already added because, when I did that thing here, insert scatter, I choose that so the marker were first introduced and then the line is added. Here I can basically add the marker this way, okay? Simply say the following, okay? It's add a marker, and there are different type of marker that you can choose. The letter 0, small cap 0 is your typical rounded marker, and you can choose the size for the marker. You want it small, you want it big, you can change this number here. If I run this thing here now I have markers, and you can play with that. Okay, if you want a small marker, you put like 5 if you want, and if you want to have a bigger marker, you put 15. If you don't want a rounded marker, but you want, I don't know, a cross, you could put a X here, and you get a X over there. Okay, and eventually, of course, now for the time being, you have no clue why is it that it's a X, or what other marker I can choose. But eventually, you can go on Google. Or you can ask our questions here. How can I change the marker so that it's a square instead of a round? Yeah, and Gemini will give you the answer, but you can go traditionally to Google search and ask the question. Okay. And after adding a marker, you can format the marker as you wish. You can do it as well in Excel. You can always go here and try to format the markers. So you go here, and then there are different type of, colors and things like that. And you can format those markers. So for the format are here. And it's very explicit of what you ask. Marker, well, you need to know, of course, let's say the vocabulary that you see. Marker face color is equal to blue, marker edge color is equal to green, marker edge white is equal to 5. Okay, so the only difference between this and this is that, I have introduced those things here. And again, don't worry too much. I know that for the time being, you tell me, well, I have no clue what to write, but you can always find some directions by Googling or doing some search in Google. How can I change the color of a marker and things like that? So the face color that you see in blue is for this, okay? The edge color green, that's around the marker per se, and the white of the marker is 5. Of the edge of the marker is 5. So that's the white of the green color that you see here. So experiment a little bit with that, okay? I can run it again. And then, well, let's suppose that we want to add some text, okay? In Excel, you can always add some text here. I guess you would go to insert. Let me go to insert. Um, well, I don't see it for the time being. I was looking for. Oh, okay, yeah, that's correct. Insert text box. You can always write something here and then type. Let's say welcome. You can do that in Excel, and you can do it in Python. Okay, all what now you understand. Okay, there will be something like PLT for the alias of the library, and then a function dot text. Okay, so it's relatively intuitive. Okay, so that's here dot text, and then the text is welcome. But I mean, you can, position the text exactly where you want to have it. So the first 0 here tells you, well, I want to have it somewhere at when x is equal to 0 and when y is equal to -5. So start writing the text welcome here, somewhere here, okay? And put the text in color blue. Choose a specific font, wet, bold, a font size 14, and font style italic. Okay, and if I run this, here is the solution. So you can see that the text welcome, which is here with the exclamation dot, and of course, again, okay, this is text every time you have something. It's not only with Python, but when you have a string of letters like that, you always need to put it in quote unquote. Okay, but no, the text which is printed, it's not the you don't see the quotes, huh? You just see what's inside the quotes. Okay, you can verify that the color is blue, the weight is bold, it's a specific font size. If you want to increase the font size, you can do it, of course. 24, and it would be a bigger. So let me go back to 14. And if you don't want to it italic, you can always, remove it. Okay, I'm gonna with my computer Control X, and then if I run this, it's no more in the italic. Okay, so and then I can again reintroduce it. Control V, Control V, and I don't need 2 comma, only 1 comma, and it will be again in italic. Okay, okay, let me add a door. Okay, to every house there should be a door. So let me add a door. Okay, so basically to add a door, I want to do something like that. Okay, so it's another line with some coordinates. Okay, so for example, I put some xd and yd. I added a little d, like it's a variable again, okay, but it's not the x and the y that I was using before. I want to keep them, okay, in memory. But I'm gonna put the little d for it's for the coordinate for the dot that I'm gonna draw. So basically the first coordinate is 0 minus 10. So I want to have something here, 0 minus 10. And then 5 minus 10, I want to have something drawn here, 5 minus 10, and then 5, 0, so it should go here, 5, 0, and then 0, 0, and then 0 minus 10. So these are the coordinates of something which looks like that, and I want to plot it over the initial hours. Okay, so let me run this cell, and then all I need to do is basically to add this statement. Not only I want to plot the original drawing, uh, but now I want to add this. And see, it's easy, okay? You just add those new coordinates, what is on the x-axis and what goes on the y-axis. So those values, and I want to have them in color black. And then if I run this, I have my little door. Okay, and so what next? Oh, okay, once you have this, okay, you may want to save the graph. So there are different ways to do. You can, with the mouse, I can right click on this thing, and then save image as, and I can say my my first house in Python, matplotlib. And it will be automatically saved in your download. Say my first house in Python. And if you go to your download, or if I go in my download, you see that I have something called this. And if I open it, I should have a nice picture, and it's a PNG file, so you can always copy it and put it in a Microsoft document if you want. Okay. Then what else? Okay, so that's the first way you can do that. Save as. Again, I right click with on the figure with my mouse, and then save image as. Okay, another way is simply to write an instruction here. Okay, you say plot save fig. Okay, you need to follow this instruction. PLT, let's use matplotlib. Save fig. Let's use a function in matplotlib library which is called save the figure, and then you can give a name, my r.png. And so let me run this. Okay, so now look, okay, it's saved, but a legitimate question is where is it saved? Okay, and actually, if you go here, you will see that there is a little rectangle here, and it gives you access to all the files that you are creating. So if I open this, you will see that there is a new file called myhouse.png, and you can do several things, including download. If I click on download, it will go immediately into the download folder in your computer. So now I should have a new file, my house, and it just open here. This is this file. It's the same as before. Okay, it's simply two different ways to save the picture that you just created in Matplotlib, and to download it. And so you can always open this thing here, or you can close it if you want this to be bigger. But every time you save a file, or here an image in Google Colab, you can always go here to Files, and I left click on this thing here, and I see those files that I have saved, okay, which is with the name here, my house. If I want to change the name, I could say my new house, okay, my new house. If I click on that again, you see a new a new file which is created here. If you want to delete it because you don't need it, you can delete the file. Okay. And I can, erase that and to keep the original name. And if I run it again, okay, this is the new file which has just been created. You can check uh, the hour. Um, I think it's still not created correctly, but anyway, uh, every time you run that again and again, this it is rewired or it's saved on the original file. Okay, and after that. Okay, so that's what I said before. You can also right-click and save the image directly on your computer. Of course, you could add the coordinates here, but it's a bit more difficult. It requires a bit of programming skills, and I'm not gonna see that with you today. It's and after all, like when you draw a house, you don't need the coordinate print it into your drawing. Okay, maybe if you're an architect, maybe you want that. But and well, if you want to have a comic style, or like as if it was drawn by hand, what you can do is you keep those same instructions that I wrote before. You may change a few things. I have changed, like the filling color is antique white. And here I save it under, I change the name of where I want to save it, the, the, uh, the name of the file that I'm gonna save. So I have changed a few things. You can look by that, but all what is done here is that I have written this. Okay, with plt.xkcd. Xkcd is it's a style in matplotlib. Matplotlib has many different styles that you can use, and this style here permits to create some kind of comic or the illusion that it has been drawn by hand. Okay, and when you have two, so it's a formal instruction for the time being. Again, I don't want to go too much into programming per se. That's not the objective of the course. But if you wanted to do some drawing, let me show you the results. The result is this. So you can see that I have, so it looks a bit like it has been handwritten, okay? So if you want to do that, you can use the line that we coded before. You can, I see it's antique white, so that's the color that you see here, antique white. And I have added some marker on the door. Here there was no marker. I have added some marker here by with this line here. Okay, so that's the 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 coordinate for the door per se. Color black, but the marker is a cross now. Okay, and I put some marker size. And for the rest, it's the same. It's the same as before, okay? I changed the title here, and I changed the name of the file here that I'm saving. But what you need that, and when you have two dots in, it's called a semicolon in English. You always need to add a few space here. Here I have added two space, and you need that, okay? So. If I run this, try by yourself. Okay, if I run this, I'm not sure why. It's because I'm running that in Google Colab, but don't worry too much for those warning that you get. Eventually, you get this as, and you can save it as before, save image as. But this line here that you can see. This line here basically says, well, save that as this file. Okay, that's the name of uh, of the file, xkcd. That's what you see here. And again, you can download it and have it. You can insert that in your in your document, in Microsoft Word, for example. So let me close this. By the way, you can see the title here. Okay, drawing my house with this style. And then I have a backslash and then N. Okay, drawing Patrick. Okay, the backslash and N in Python parlance. And I don't want again to go too far into programming now, but this is one way to create a return. So if I go here, you see that drawing Patrick does not go on the same line as the first title. So it's as if you were typing something in Microsoft Word and you press return to go to the next line. So in order to do that, that's what you would need to do. I know that there is a lot to learn. It takes time, so that's not something that you can learn in a few minutes. It will take time. The more often you open Google Colab and start working uh, uh, with uh, with Python, the more you will become familiar. Okay, so of course, well, let me take a little pause here, and I will continue in a few minutes. Okay, so after having seen the function plot, okay, there is also a function called scatter in Python, and it's a bit like there are different charts that you can insert in Excel. There is the line chart that I discussed before. There is the scatter plot and things like that. So in Python, there are different ways to draw graph, and there is also a function called scatter. So basically, the difference between dot plot, so what we have done before, dot plot and dot scatter, the function dot scatter is that the dot plot function basically the objective of dot plot is actually to draw a line. And I think that the name plot is not necessarily well chosen because it's more like a dot line, draw a line between coordinates. And it has been named plot in matplotlib. So this basically says plot me a line. But you can also, and then, plot me a line, and then you can add some marker on the coordinates if you want. That's what I have written here. Uh, when you use the function scatter, it will first and foremost draw markers on the coordinates. And then you can also, like in Excel, once you select, when you select scatter, insert scatter, okay, initially it just give you markers. And then if you ask line, it add the lines, okay? And scatter in matplotlib does exactly the same thing. So as to recall what we did before, before I paused the recording, is we use dot plot and we added some marker with some marker size. And I'm gonna run it again, okay, to make sure that it's there. That's what we did before, and we added all kind of features. Okay, now let me show you what's the results of plot plt.scatter. Okay, so that's the function scatter. Plt again is the alias. as if you were clicking on an icon on your computer saying, well, I want to work with Excel. Here, PLT tells you, or tells Python, I want to work with my matplotlib.pyplot library. And so basically, it looks very similar. XY, you had XY here, it's the name of those variables. And I say, well, I want a marker of a specific type. It should be a circle. I want a specific color and I want a specific size. For some reason, the size that you have to put here is different from the marker size. Here, you really need to write marker size. Here, you need to write S for size. Don't ask me why. Okay, I know it because I have used it before. Okay, but anyway, if I run this, that's what you are going to get. Okay, so I have the coordinates as I would have, if I were just selecting this, insert chart, and I choose this, that's what I would get. Okay, so that's as well what matplotlib gives me. And then, if I want to add a line, as in Excel, if I want to, I can say, well, let me erase that. Sometimes I'm a bit lost with Excel. If I want to add not only the marker, but the line, I would do that, okay? In matplotlib, you simply need to say, well, let's add a plot line as we did before. So if you want to add a black contour line, you can add this line here, okay? As we wrote before, dot plot xy will give you a line which will link all x, y coordinates. Okay, so if I run this, I can clear selected output. If I run this, that's what I'm getting. And if you want to add some filling, well, that's what we did before. Okay, so nothing will change. Okay, you add this line here, fill with the name of the color that you want. And if I run this again, that I run it before, that's why I have the output. But if I run this, I'm getting this, some filling. And now let me maybe look at that. Okay, the marker, there is a line and there is a marker. And maybe you would want the marker to be in front and not behind the line. Okay, so there are probably different ways to do it in Excel, although I believe that I'm even not sure how to do it, and I don't want to look at that here, but there is probably a way to play with the order, and when you work with pictures in Microsoft Word, you can put some elements forward or backward. In Matplotlib, you can do it as well. Like here, could be the case that you would like to have the marker in front and the line in the below. Okay, so let me show you what I want. Like there is a parameter which is called z order. So that's the order with which the element will come. Okay, and typically, the first line will be the first element which is draw, and then the second line that you see here will be the second element. The line will be draw, and then the fill will be added. Okay, so there is some kind of order. But if I put z order is equal to 2, and the bigger the number here, the more in front this element will become. Okay, so you can experiment a bit by yourself. Okay, you can put z order with a negative number, with a 0, with a positive values. Let me show you if z order is equal to 2, how will this change? Okay, Remember, that's the order of the marker. Where is it? When is it draw exactly? If I run this, you can see that now the marker is basically on top of the black line, okay? And i- you may even want to have it more forward, so to hide. Actually, the marker is on top of the filling, okay, but the black line is still on top of the marker. If you want to have the marker even more forward, you can simply say z order is equal to 3, okay, and if I run this, now you see that the marker is put forward and everything else is backward in the picture. You can also, like in Excel, there is also possibilities to make elements more transparent, translucent. Let's suppose that you want and we are going to see that when we will do some digital picture work, okay? We may see sometimes the opportunity to make some elements in a picture more transparent. And here, one way to do is basically to introduce a parameter which is called alpha. And alpha is a parameter, and this is a very well known, and you will see again when we will do digital pictures, when we work on digital picture, that there is always a parameter alpha, which is a transparency parameter. So when you set that parameter to 0, the element which is set equal to 0 becomes translucent. You don't see it, transparent. And if it's 1, it's opaque. Okay, so let's suppose that you want this to be more transparent. You can simply add a parameter alpha. And I put the value is between 0 and 1. Okay, so if I put the filling in pink, alpha is equal to 0.3. If I run this, it's going to be more transparent, uh, less opaque than that. And guess what? If I put alpha is equal to 0, can you tell me what I'm going to get? If I run this, alpha is equal to 0, so the filling becomes translucent, totally transparent. We don't see it. So that's why you don't see the pink anymore, okay? So this thing, and if I put it again to 0.3, and you can play with that parameter, change the values, okay? It's gonna be more or less opaque. As well, you can do it if what you want to make transparent is the marker, and then the alpha parameter would be applied to the marker per se. If I run this with the alpha parameter of 0.2, you see now that the markers are uh, much more transparent than that. And guess what? If I put 0, what's going to happen? The marker disappears because they are totally translucent, totally transparent. 0.2. And if this is the line that I want to make more transparent, I can as well, on the plot for the line per se, I can use the alpha parameter here. Okay, and alpha parameter of 0.2 will give me a line that is much less noticeable than here. Okay, so basically, I have given you a very first introduction to the library matplotlib, okay, which permits you to do all kind of graph. Okay, if you look at my document the one that I have added on Brightspace. I'm not sure where it is. I guess it's here on Brightspace content. Um, if you look at that, okay, there is a document with, at the end of the document, you will see many graphs that I did in using matplotlib. So, well, clearly it's only an introduction, and I don't want to give you too much material now in matplotlib because then it becomes overwhelming. So you should go that step by step, but you if you take my second course on data science in the summer, we will go much further as well in the use of matplotlib. And maybe the second thing I want to show you here, there is another library called pandas. Pandas, it's not the little animal, huh? It's actually panel data analysis. And every time it's a very important library in Python. But and for the time being, I don't want to talk about pandas. It's a huge library, very useful. It serves you to do whatever you want to do in Excel. You can do it in pandas. But maybe at this stage, all I want to show you is that actually you can, one of the things maybe annoying, the way I presented it, is that you have to type those values, those coordinates. Well, if you were working in Excel, you would need to type them as well, okay? But very often when we do data analysis or data science, we have access to files, to Excel files or CSV files. CSV files means comma separated variable files, and I will discuss a little bit more about that format in the next few days. But for the time being, all I want to tell you is the following. And basically, um, let me show you maybe what I mean. Okay, this thing here, at some point in time, I save it as another file. You can see here. Okay, I save that, just the numbers. Okay, and I save that as a XLSX file. Okay, so file save as, and I call it my house, and I save it as a XLSX as you would do regularly for any type of file. Okay, so now suppose that everything has been saved. I can, and you want to use those data which has been written either by you, like the X and the Y, or by somebody else, because you find on the internet a file with some data. And how can you read that in using Python? And that's where that library will be very useful. So again, like imagine you want to work with Excel. You need to click on an image, on an icon on your computer to say to your computer, "Now let's work with Excel." Here it's exactly the same thing. Okay, you need to import the library to say to Python, let's work with pandas, because now I want to open some external files. And so basically you would say import pandas, a bit like you say import matplotlib. And PD is the alias, it's the short name. So again, like uh, PLT was the short name for matplotlib. So every time you see a PLT, it says, well, we are using matplotlib. Here, every time you see a PD, it will mean that we are going to use pandas. Okay, so let me try to explain uh, uh, how I can import the files that the Excel file that I have just created. So this one here, okay. So it is saved somewhere in on my computer in a folder. Let me suppose that I want to open that. Okay, what you can do, okay, if you want to open this Excel file, okay, in your Google Colab environment, you go here. Okay, you will see that there is a little arrow here. And if you wait a little bit, you will see a pop-up image which says upload to session storage. Okay, this button here, this one here, is the button which permits you to upload to your Google Colab environment. So we are working on the cloud. You are not working on your computer. Uh, to upload on the cloud to your space, okay, on Google Colab. Uh, I need to click here, and then it will go to basically it will not immediately go to this particular folder, but most likely it will go to download, and you have to pick exactly where you put those files. I have saved this file here in this folder, desktop, Google Colab, art, music, turtle, my house, and I have those two files that I want to upload to my Google Colab. So I can say now open and see it's something is getting in, and now you can see that I have a file which is called my house. So that's exactly this file here. Okay, um, this is this file with this information. So now that the file is in Google Colab, we want to read the file, and pandas is able to read all kind of file, not only Excel and CSV file, but many others, and I will show you what you can open with pandas. Okay, but it's not the time now. Okay, there are too much material to cover. I just want to show you how to open this file here, which is now uploaded into your Google Colab. And what you need, well, you need to read a file, and you need to use a method. So I don't want to go too much into the jargon here, but so you need to say, well, I want to work with pandas. That's the alias. I want to work with a specific function or method, which is called read Excel with an underscore. So it simply says to pandas, well, you know what? I'm going to feed you with an Excel file. So use a function called read Excel in order to manage or to understand what is in this file. So if and then I need to give the name, okay, which is my house XLSX. Okay, so that's the name in quotation mark, here and here. And what I can do is to assign that to a new variable that I'm creating, and I give it a name df. And df stands for data frame, because that's the formal name of the object that we are creating now in pandas. But I could have called it Patrick, but I give it a name df. So I assign this thing here to a new variable that I'm just creating that I call df. Oh, first I need to import. I need to import this, and I can run this. So nothing happens in the screen, but now if I write again df here and I click on this thing, I'm gonna get this. And you see that basically I have something which looks very much like an Excel file, okay, where I have the X and the Y, which comes from here, X and Y. And then, I have some index here, 2, 3, 4, up to 11. And then the variable for um, for x and y, the values for x and y. Okay, and if that's exactly what you see here, okay, the index start at 0. That's another subtlety of Python, but so it does not start at 1. Like here, it started 1, 1, 2. But anyway, what you can see without going into the details of pandas too much to get for a first introduction, you see that you are able to read an external file, like an Excel file. Okay, and you can play with that. And without going too much into the details, you see that if you want to get the first column here, you can say df, and then you open the square bracket, and you close it here, and then in between you put x, and then with quote unquote the value, the name of that variable x. If I do that, I'm getting this. And doing that is a bit like highlighting this. It's a bit like if I was highlighting this column here. And if I want to highlight the column y, I would simply write this way. Okay, again, I can close what I did before. And then you can see, again, understand the idea. Sometimes when you are in Python, you just don't want to write all the values of the variable x and all the values of the variable y. Maybe those values have been given to you by somebody else, written in Excel files, and you want to import those. Okay, so you can import it this way. And then you can extract what is on the X column and what is on the Y column. And then once you have that, you can do your plot as before. Okay, and now, okay, you use the dot plot function as before, and you refer now not to X and Y as we did before when we did this thing here. So, let me go back maybe all the way. You write the values of x and y, and then you plot x and y. The difference now with pandas is actually I'm reading an external file where the value of x and y have been written. Now, basically, I know that this operation here will give me the values of x, and this operation here will give me the value of y. So when I want to plot x versus y, I need simply, instead of having x and y, I simply put df and dfy. Okay, and then if I run this, I'm gonna get my answer. And you could do that as well with a CSV file, okay? And here, well, sometimes when you do that, well, maybe something like that. And then I'm gonna say Control C to copy those values, and then File, blank workbook, and then Control V. Okay, here are my values, okay? And, instead of saving that as an Excel file, I can also save that as let's say that I want to save that on my downloads. I try to get a window that I'm not getting now, but file, save, pause. Okay, I guess there are different ways to save the thing. Okay, I'm gonna go to my download and look here. By default, it gives me XLSX. Okay, but sometimes, most of the time, when you work with data files provided by other people, those are not Excel files. Those are comma separated values files, and I will explain later. But you can change the extension. Like instead of having an extension XLSX, you can save it as a CSV file, comma separated values. And so basically, instead of saving it as a Excel workbook, XLSX, you can save it as a CSV file, okay? And be careful, if you are in a Macintosh, there is something called CSV Macintosh, and I guess you would need to use that. But now let me save it as a CSV file here on my Windows base. And then I'm gonna say my new house.csv. Save. Okay, and now this is a CSV file. You can see the extension is not Excel, it's CSV. And you can do it as I did before. You can import this CSV file. Okay, I imported previously, so I'm not gonna do it again. But you can import that into your Google Colab or upload that into your Google Colab environment and read that file. Okay, and I think it's important. Well, now that we have we have understood how to read an Excel file, we can also read a CSV file. And instead of Excel, it's the function that will be used is CSV. And the name of the file is myhouse.csv. So you can simply read the file this way. And I can erase the output that you see here so that so basically first let me read the file that I have uploaded into my Google Colab session. Uh, and if I want to see what is in the new data frame, I see again, it's the same information, but it's a CSV file, not a Excel file. If you want to have the first column, so the column of the X, you would write this. If you want to plot this file, you would, as before, you would say, well, plot me the coordinate X and Y. But because it's read by pandas, okay, the coordinate for X is basically this thing here. It's the column X of the data frame DF. It's the column X of the data frame DF. And the way to write it is this way here. And now, as before, okay, if I run this, I'm gonna get my graph. Okay, so that's about it. Okay, we have seen a lot of material. Don't be discouraged. Okay, the more often you go into Google Colab and you try these things, the more comfortable you will be. So I have some exercise for you. Okay, imagine that I give you some variable L is equal to that, and some variable Q is equal to that. And all I ask you is that plot L on the x-axis and Q on the y-axis, and show me your response. I will put in Google Colab some clear questions about what I'm expecting from you for this session. The second question that I give you is, well, I I gave you some other coordinate for X and Y, and I call it them XS and YS, just to make a difference between, that's a variable called L on the x-axis, Q on the y-axis, and this one will be XS on the x-axis and YS on the y-axis, and then show me the graph that you get. Okay. Here you can see there is scientific notation, but you don't need to bother about that. Okay, so plot using the function plt.plot and use, for example, line white is equal to 5. So that's the width of the line contour that you are going to create. And then plot a scatter plot, okay, and use a marker size of 50. So go back into how I did that before in order to be able to make those two graphs. The look, it will look like that, okay? So basically what I'm asking you is, so this is the result of using that with this line white, and add your group number. My group number is number 2, and add this text inside the star. That the star is basically the given by those coordinates for x and y. Okay, xs and ys. And if instead of plot you use scatter, you are going to get something like that. Again, try to add your group number and then to add some text here, welcome. And you can do it as well with another type of coordinates, xc and yc. So it's a long coordinate that I have given to you, or I prepared that for you, okay? And then I ask you to do the same thing. You insert your group number here. This is the plot function, and this is the scatter function. I have used here, try to see some size for the marker, so that you kind of see that those are marker. Actually, there are many coordinates. Okay, that's the reason why you get this as, so use a very small marker size s equal to 0.01. So those are the exercises that I'm asking you to do, and hopefully, don't be afraid. Okay, there is a lot of material. You cannot digest that in a few minutes, but the more you are exposed to this, and the more comfortable you will feel with all this. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing and stop the recording for today.